We have had a cracking first sprint stage of this Tour de France, yet a messy one. Biniam Girmay, eventual winner of it, got through relatively lucky, I think, with the amount of chaos that was involved. So I'm going to look at how it was lost and how it was won. And I'm going to look at Mark Cavendish. I don't want to pick on him, but this is how it is, it's sprinting. This is the point here with 18 kilometres to go. As we can see at this pack now, it is packed. There's a lot of riders across the front of the road, a lot of the teams. And if I pause it just here, I'll be able to show you that. So as I said, all the teams across the front of the road, all teams here, Alpecin here, then you've got Decathlon here, you've got EF here, then you've got UAE here. There's a lot of teams with no space to move up. If we look down this side of the pack, this is the first rider from the Kazakhstan team, Astana Kazakhstan team, sorry, and they are, what, 9 riders back at the minute? Then if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got Mark Cavendish. So 6 riders back within that line. But look at the distance from the front of the peloton all the way to the back. For him to make his way up there, number one, he's going to have to find room, he's going to have to find space. And to do that, the peloton really has to speed up. But all these riders at the front, they do not want to make the first move. So that position that they're in already, it's not a good one. That's a lot of energy they don't want to waste. That's a lot of energy Mark Cavendish doesn't want to waste, and that's a lot of stress he doesn't want to waste. When we get into the final 2 kilometres, this is with 2.4 k's to go. There was a huge crash at the back. We haven't got an overhead shot of it, but we can just see from this shot just here on the left-hand side, if I just try to make it a bit clearer, this is the Astana team. So the Astana team, as we can see, way too far back in comparison to where the front of the bunch is. And right in the middle of the pack, that is Mark Cavendish, right at the back there. So stuck in all the chaos behind the crash. Luckily, he didn't crash. But if we look to the front, we've got the now yellow jersey winner, Richard Carapaz, right up towards the front with 1 teammate in front of him. And then we've got 3 Lidl Trek riders, the last one being Mads Pedersen, right on the wheel there, so tucked right up at the front, out of the chaos. Then we've got 2 riders here from Lotto Destiny as well. Then we've got DSM looking after Jakobsen as well. So a lot of the sprint teams on the front already, which is no surprise with 2.3k to go. It's better to be at the front and in a safer position rather than run a little bit too far back and try and use that speed. It's a risk that sometimes works, but it's very, very difficult to get it right. And as we've seen today, you can't predict what is going to happen. That was the end of Mark Cavendish's race. And this ultimately was the start of Biniam Girmay's race, where it came into the final. Now, Wanty Group Gobert, they played this perfectly. As you can see, they've got 3 riders at the front. And if we look on this, let me just go back a little bit. If we look on this shot here, you can actually see Biniam Girmay, he got caught up in a lot of chaos. So he's right at the back there. 3 teammates, that's Mike Turnerson, Gerben Tyson, who was their original sprinter, and the other riders that are here. We've got 1 rider from Lidl Trek, that's Jasper Stuyven. Then we've got Mads Pedersen, the sprinter. We've got Arnaud Delis without a lead-out man. We've got Fabio Jakobsen without a lead-out man. Then we've got Sam Bennett with 1 lead-out man, Oliver Nason, right up towards the front. So these riders, sorry, Delis got 1 man there, but he doesn't do anything. As we come around this corner, Mike Turnerson takes over. Gerben Tyson is probably thinking right now, this is way too early. You can tell by the space on the wheel, but he can't look, well, he can look back, but he can't move too far back now. This is a point where Turnerson is starting to accelerate, get everyone up on the wheels a little bit, try to accelerate that speed. Everyone in a flat out line behind him. The sprint hasn't properly started yet. But at this point here, this is where it starts to get interesting. I'll just try to make it a little bit clearer. So Jasper Stuyven here, the Lidl Trek rider, starts to launch his sprint. He's got Arnaud Delis on his wheel, the wrong rider. He doesn't want him. He wants Mads Pedersen, who is all the way over here. And at this point here, Pedersen is sprinting at the same time as his lead-out rider. So you have to take that into thought for what happens next, because Mads Pedersen puts in an awfully big and awfully strong and hard effort to start to move up. So Stuyven at full chat, starting sprint, as is Mads Pedersen on the right-hand side. Now Pedersen in the wind, in the wind, in the wind, all the way up until this point. And at this point here, he's on the wheel, well, he's behind him, but he's getting no shelter. So all this air that he's pushing, he's had to push a lot more. Girmay is doing the same thing, but he's been able to follow Delis up on the right-hand side. Stuyven is coming to the end of his time. And Groenewegen here is just running off the back of Girmay. As I said, Gaviria just there at the back, tucked in behind Mads Pedersen, hoping that he's still got the legs. If we fast forward to the overhead shot, this is the point now where Mads Pedersen starts to launch his sprint. And here, just tiny little bit back there is that Arnaud Delis decides to go on the left-hand side. He was underlapping the wheel slightly there, but he had room to go up the right-hand side. He had all this space here, which this man, the eventual winner, has got. So he's got clean air, he's got room to sprint. Dylan Groenewegen is trying to launch his sprint and start to get past Girmay because there is not much room going up this side. Gaviria just trying to hold on to Mads Pedersen's wheel. Eventually he comes round him as Pedersen starts to sprint. But for me, this was the perfect sprint by Girmay, all over to the right-hand side of the barrier, making sure he got past everyone with ease. Pedersen at this point, his legs are starting to burn. Gaviria just slowly creeping past him in there. Just right on the line, Arnaud Delis manages to squeeze out a third place just past Mads Pedersen. In these big messy sprints, in all the chaos that's involved with it, sometimes you can have the lead out perfect, but the majority of the time, you have to fend for yourself. And there's one man that did it fabulously, and that is that man in the centre of our screen. Biniam Girmay writing history today, and I absolutely loved seeing him win this race. It's going to be a cracker. There's a lot to learn for a lot of the sprint teams, a lot of mistakes to fix, a lot of work to do for them. But you can guarantee there's one thing for sure. They are not going to make those mistakes again coming into the next sprint day. It's going to be a belter.